I am Couch Coop and we're going to be looking at Mafia Definitive Edition over on PC. I've covered this game before on PlayStation 5 and as you well know I'm interested in the lack of backwards compatibility with some of these titles over on the Sony side. Mafia the Definitive Edition runs at 2K and a strange frame rate on the PlayStation 5 version. This is as crisp as I've ever seen the game.
God fucking damn them to hell!
Everything on Ultra 1080 and a massively pegged 60 frames per second. Everything about this game, for me, revolves around aesthetic and feel and look and immersion with the genre itself, the time period, all the characters. And these increased graphics and effects completely bolster that feeling. It was pretty incredible the first time I booted this up against that PS5 version.
Figures and the reaction from the governor's mansion.
The reflections are better, the particles are better, the frame rates are better, and I know it's not really a PlayStation 5 version that I'm comparing this to. That is still technically a boosted PlayStation 4 Pro version of the game running at 2K, so it's not legit that I should be leaning on them. I just wish they'd sling in a decent patch. 4K 60 frames per second, the machine can do it. This game would just look excellent against those specs.
Known informally as the Rat Catchers.
As mentioned previously, this is not technically an open world game. If you're in a mission, a structured section of that campaign, you cannot wander off the beaten track. You are penalised for it. And if you're not in a mission, there's absolutely nothing to do. But there is a free roam mode, which is why they put that on that main options screen, because I think they wanted people to just be off that leash and enjoy this massive map that they've built. And it is incredible. The game also uses numeric years as chapters, starting you in sort of the early 30s and bringing you up to almost to the end. What I think they missed an opportunity on and probably was a little bit expensive on the GP CPU front was to change the car design and the fashions and everything within the high streets between the years so that you had a slightly different variant on that map after doing a bunch of missions. Probably a bit of a big ask. On the homework front, I thought I'd have a look at some of the Godfather films because my passion for Francis Ford Coppola is way above, and not Sophia, way above the Godfather films because of Apocalypse Now. I hold that film in such high regard. It could be one of my favourite pieces of media on the planet, full stop, ever. I'd love to do some content about it, but that's what happens when I start watching other Coppola films. I start thinking about how much I like Apocalypse Now and how much I would rather be watching that Redux 5.5 hour version. Let's talk about that combat and tying in with the film references. I think that's where they wanted to go. Really intimate and detailed death animations and bullet ballistics. The sheets waving as the bullets go through them and just the snappiness of the cover and combat feels really natural. It's probably the strongest section for me of the entire game, alongside some of those cool characters and that awesome world they've built. Locations and dissipation also come into play. Although the game does feature some really awesome sort of reactionary animations on the enemies, they are quite easy to kite, and if you're used to cover-based third-person shooters, you'll immediately start taking the piss. There was a shirtless guy in that frack card, right? There's always a shirtless guy. Now this is a piece of footage that shows reflections on the roof of the car. This is the PC version, and I also do the same pullout over on the PlayStation 5. Now this is the issue with HDR capture. You can see that bloom is just crazy, but straight up, some of this granular detail is just not there, even with that 2K resolution. This becomes really apparent during the car chase scenes in the game, which are pretty scripted, but it's awesome that it allows you to fire from the vehicle. Cyberpunk 2077 took 2.5 years to do that, but you can see the rubble, the sparks, the dust, the smoke, everything is upped on that detail. I think because that ultra version over on the PC has just got a lot more to offer than that standard PS4 Pro version, which is pretty obvious. do really love the in-car combat. I think it's an excellent level of tension for a lot of the campaigns, getting away, looking behind you and still being able to fire and focus, but there is no detail on that micro aim. It's a locked, massive, stationary thing that only allows you to fire in one section of the car. You can't take out a tyre. You can technically take out the drivers, but that's a lot easier done on foot. You can see how this has been a little bit simplified, but just having it in a gangster chase, in a mobster game that's based in the 30s is pretty epic. It's also quite big on collectibles, not exploring and finding collectibles, but just putting them right in front of you during campaign missions. Now this made me notice a strange thing, and I don't know if it ties in with sort of Western game development recently in general, see the Stellar Blade review, but there's just a huge lack of hot women in this game, and the 40s and 30s, some of that fashion, the hair, is absolutely amazing stuff, and they just drop the ball. Think Dick Tracy, Madonna looks almost normal in that film.
Alright, put them up.
I mean, there are women in it, but they're not exactly represented in the most normal of circumstances. There could have been a female companion or some storyline around a cool female mobster. Is that what you wanted, Coop? Yeah, didn't get it. Now let's go back to that combat.
Get cover!
It does try and give you a little bit of stealth. It does force it on some missions, and it is in your interest to get behind people, get rid of them before they open fire and alert the rest of that section of minimap. We're not talking about anything that bleeds into that open world format, but for what we get, and talking about those animations and ballistics and massive amounts of gore, this is through the roof. That's why I'm so baffled that there's no femme fatale, hot gorgeous woman walking around, but we've got blood splatters and eyeballs flying off screen everywhere. This is one of my favourite bits in the front end of that campaign. This is unreal. The guy hiding behind the bar, me jumping over and getting involved in some fisticuffs, amazing stuff. That save system will catch you out sometimes as well. And talking about stealth, this particular mission is a real ball ache. You have to do like 9 stealth kills with this guy following you. Then you have to get out of there. And I delayed that process, and the police turned up in their droves. It locked the house behind me, and it was like, do you want to restart this, or do you want to go from where you left off? And I'm like, I'm not doing that stealth bit again. This got crazy, but good footage.
I'm on top of him! Almost on him!
He's in a car. Apprehend as soon as you can.
Presto! Semina gli sbirri!
Like a small Tommy gun upgrade screen. Wouldn't have gone amiss, right? Switching out the clips and changing up the grips. And you heard me talking in the last video about the fashion. A little an optional side quest for a cool bowler and trench coat would have been welcomed. But the game didn't want to concentrate on that sort of granular detail. It wanted to push more of a narrative, story-driven character idea. And that does work. And the combat does support that.
I swear I know you. Were you with the Union, maybe?
Sorry, buddy, I'm from out of town.
Also, huge kudos for having two-wheeled combat and vehicles full stop. Actually, I'm currently looking at Ride, which has just come on PSN, holding that up against MotoGP 2023. I'm a massive fan of motorcycle games, including split-screen ones, so this was a joy, being able to fire from your motorcycle and have your buddies turn up and support you.
So get it! Got it, Sam!
Can you, in the comments, tell me who that actress was in the black and white clip? I will show her once more. I have been Couch Coop. I look forward to seeing you down there. Ride split screen local PvP review on the way.
Well, it's good, Peter.
Hitler took the guns. Stalin took the guns. Mao took the guns. Fidel Castro took the guns. Hugo Chavez took the guns. And I'm here to tell you, 1776 will commence again.